Hello and welcome. You're tuned to The Leg Up, your weekly thoroughbred preview podcast, and the usual suspects are back in the building. Good morning to Paul Moati and Stephen Hunt. Paul.
Morning.
You back?
I am.
You feeling well?
I'm feeling better.
Have you have you provided a negative test to someone to be here today? Because I don't want to catch it.
3 times.
Okay, very
In
good.
triplicate. I've ratted out.
Yeah, okay, you've ratted out. That's the main thing. Very good to have you back. You got a couple of winners for us today?
Oh, I think Steve has. Yeah.
You better
Good card at Matamata.
You better do your
Good
bit.
card.
Yeah,
Very,
yeah.
very good card.
Matamata today. That looks at 11 races too.
Took a while to
Work your way
get through them,
that.
but yeah, well, obviously there's plenty of horse flesh wanting to go around in the north. So
Yep. Yeah, and
Bring it
last
on. Ready to
last
start?
week, Te Rapa.
yeah, it was a good card at Te Rapa.
Yeah.
Just dying off in terms of premier race days in the North Island. We're seeing a lot of winter horses resuming, having 1 or 2 starts back, looking for that heavy track, which hasn't quite hit our country as yet. But look, I thought Osaka in the Open, what was it? It's Open 1600, ran really well, back to where he kind of found his mark before he headed over to Australia last season. I think back left-handed, Michael McNabb, there's a few ticks there. He did the job. The overall race rated 2.1 lengths above par, so he can go on with the job. Osaka and Lord Cosmos in the 2-year-old stakes race got the job done in a nice short price fave, $2.40, $2.50 SP, Lord Cosmos, and he's a horse that I think Tiaka will be targeting towards Riccarton. Yeah, I think he's got a bit of upside in terms of getting to 1600. So, one horse that maybe potentially goes out to the spelling paddock now. I think he's ticked that block box in terms of a stakes win, but he'll be definitely a horse to watch early part of the spring.
Yeah, okay. Time to head up north to Hamilton. Who's this? Who is this? Brendan Popplewell. Absolute looking stunning this morning. Dressed in your finest. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Thad. Good morning, lads. Yes, ready for that early start that you said out of Matamata. Get your cornflakes out and make sure you're ready for that first race because we will be here on trackside 1, so hence why that sharp turnaround means that we've just parked the Warriors jersey, and that's got nothing to do with their performance last week out of Shark Park as well, despite them not being able to score a try against 11 players when they had 13. But we shall move on and look forward to the South Sydney Rabbitohs during Magic Round. But yeah, Steve's right. There has been no rain, and it is horses are looking for it, aren't they? We are now pushing into that part of the season where horses are looking for some forgiveness. There's a little bit of forgiveness in the ground this week across both of our venues, and that's good to see. And no doubt some of those horses, especially those jumpers, will be just looking for that ground to start to soften up over the next few weeks.
Yeah, they could be looking for a little bit less on the other side of the Tasman, Pops.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, especially in Brisbane too, aren't they? I mean, that is going to be where we see our important racing for New Zealand horses competing at Eagle Farm. Of course, not Doomben. The Doomben 10,000 goes to Eagle Farm, and Treviere lines up in that race. We have great Kiwi reps throughout the day. Of course, the Rough Habit looks to be a race where we have obviously Dark Destroyer, Pinarello and Ruark, and Babylon Berlin's lining up throughout the middle part of the day. 2 runners for Tony Pike on the 2-year-old. So let's hope those Kiwis enjoy those conditions that will be at Eagle Farm on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be a big day. Any Warriors comments early on? Paul, do you want to stick anything back to Pops at this stage?
Mate, they'll need a bit of magic to get through the Rabbitohs. I know the Rabbitohs were poor last week as well, but fair dinkum. You can't. How does a team with 12 men get an overlap against a team with 13? You tell me that.
Yeah, okay. Well,
enough said?
Let's not dissect that at this point. Yeah, enough said at this point. Yeah, keep the faith. Keep the faith. Pops, we'll come back to you. Maiden of the Week. You got something a little bit different for us this week with your Maiden of the Week. Where have you gone? Yeah,
I thought we'd try and work our way towards winter racing, and what better way to do that by pinpointing a horse who won a jumping race yesterday at Whanganui. And I'm speaking about a horse by the name of Chief Sequoia. Now, he is not a new boy on the block in terms of jumping, but it was over the steeplechase fences. He did win a restricted open steeplechase as a maiden galloper yesterday, so he does qualify through that little loophole of maiden of the week. Does Chief Sequoia, of course, a galloper, as we know, last season who won the Awapuni Hurdles, finished 4th in a Great Northern. He won a Syndham Hurdles. He is a very talented jumper boy. That was some win yesterday, wasn't it? And a very cool ride by Sam O'Malley. He just let him sit back, do all the work at the back of the field, and then he started to roll into the race. And you could see from about the 800 metre mark where he made that sharp run to get as close as he did, he was the one to beat from there because his talent over the jumps is certainly there in spades. We will likely to see this horse competing through the Melbourne winter. John Wheeler does have his eyes on some very big goals, possibly the Grand National across the Tasman. So look out for him. Chief Sequoia, he was very impressive yesterday.
Okay, so he's planning to head over to Aussie, not down south to Riccarton, or can he do both? I'm not sure.
Well, at this stage, they've certainly got their eyes on the big money across the Tasman, so why not? Of course, reading a report that John Wheeler was considering going towards the Grand Annual with him at Warrnambool, but just with how the tracks were around the country leading up, they were just too firm for him, so they've just kept him on ice, found the right race yesterday, and then the likelihood of maybe seeing him perform through the Melbourne winter. So, yeah, keep your eyes peeled out for him because he looks a very promising jumper.
No, money was on.
Yeah, well, they backed it pretty hard, didn't they?
Yeah, opened around 650, didn't he? And
oh, gee, adding a bit of GST there, 550, I believe.
I saw a bit at 650. So, I don't know.
Was it yours?
I wish.
No, yeah, it won well, didn't it? Won well.
Won very, very well against a couple of Kevin Myers runners who were at the top of the market.
Yeah,
Yeah, Lockburn, he's Rick. They'll go on and win a maiden in short term over the high sticks. But yeah, Chief Sequoia, well played. And looking at the ownership, you've got John Wheeler himself, Sam Beatson, who does a lot of breaking in up north for Key Stables, Ben Foote, Stephen Marsh, a few players.
Oh, okay. He did well last.
Aaron White's in it.
Aaron White. Yeah,
Yep,
okay.
he's involved. Gripper Harrison. So there's a big crew of them that are involved, and they've already had a lot of fun last season. I think it might just go up a notch or two this season.
Yeah, I remember when it was down south, it performed well. I won the Sydenham, as you mentioned, Pop. So they've already had a bit of fun, but they'll have some more fun if they can get it over to the to those big races in Australia.
Yeah, I think so. And also just to talk about those jumps races yesterday, I mean, it was good to see, the horses going around on track conditions that were suitable for them. A couple of other jockeys were involved as well. So, look, it's important for our game that we have jumps racing going, and it was disappointing to just see the 6 competing for a number of reasons in that first jumping race out of Te Rapa. So let's hope the money's there. The money is there. Let's hope that the horses do start arriving when the rain comes out, and maybe that possibility of trying to get some jockeys from the UK and maybe back from Australia to compete in these races, maybe to help our depth.
Yeah, 100%. No, look, hopefully we can have a bumper season in the jumps ranks, boys. Let's get into it. Rotorua, obviously, and HAWERA. We've got 3 from Rotorua we want to take a look at before we have a look at a race at HAWERA. And it's race number 3, Steve, the Van Dyke Furnishing 3-year-old over the 1,400 metres.
Your favourite well played here, Thaddeus, Arish number 4, open $3.30, remains that quite, but well played. In front of Mercurial, $5.50, second line. The big firmer has been around number 2, Jimmy Kirk, $7.50 into $6. Synchronise, $6, hasn't budged. Dancing Sands, $9, the only other runner in single figures. Masangi Lass at 12, sits at the same quote as Mia Fiore, and also If She Can. Freebie, $15, and Last Resort at 18, just gone out a couple of turns, original price 16. So best bet runner, number 2, Jimmy Kirk, but plenty of punters playing with the favourite here, number 4, Arish, after an impressive last start win at 65 grade.
Yeah, it was a good win, BP, down the line there at Wanganui for Arish. Obviously put the writing on the wall prior to that, but Stephen Marsh will have a fair old say in this 3-year-old event.
Look, he will, and look at a runner that has looked very good on the racetrack in Jimmy Kirk, and of course we go back to that question we had a couple of weeks ago about horses for courses, and certainly Jimmy Kirk is providing that with 3 starts here now for the 2 victories, and comes back to the scene of the crime again, looking to try and make it 3 on the bounce out of ROTORUA. So look, I love the way that he's been able to go to that next grade and perform, Jimmy Kirk. He's got a slightly niggly barrier draw, but the money is up for Jimmy Kirk with what we've seen in terms of early movement. I do like the reference around a couple of runners here, certainly Synchronised, because they've got themselves on the ballot later on in the day for a stakes race. But look, her run was very encouraging, I thought, in the Cambridge Breeders and behind Bonnie Lass. A race that, look, didn't quite work out for her. She had a tricky barrier draw. They were always going to go back and try and work home into the race. And look, she's done a good job to be able to work home and get within 4 lengths of the winner. Did synchronise. So there was a lot to like about what she did in the run and what she did in the race. And of course, Mercurial was very unlucky in that same race, a horse who just never got a fair crack at them and is around that $5.50 quote. So I'm keen to shop around those horses. I think Arish brings that reference of bumping into Cote de Boone in that key lead-up race to the Cambridge Breeders, then going to Whanganui and getting the job done nicely there also. But Yeah, Synchronise and Mercurial are the two horses that are gaining me a bit of interest anyway on that each way value.
Yeah, what do you make of that Mercurial run, BP? You mentioned slightly unlucky. Would have finished a little bit closer, you'd suggest?
I think so, yeah. And the lead-up run was when beaten at Te Rapa as well, and behind Cote de Boone was about 3 lengths off them. Look, he's shown some good enough form throughout his 3-year-old season, Mercurial. He hasn't been too far away through some of those spring 3-year-old races. So he's shown that he's not too far away from our better ones. So this is a good chance for him to maybe cash in on that in a race like this.
Okay, Paul, the 3-year-old race, where are you casting your eye here?
I like the look of Reese, as BP said. That second in behind Cote de Boone and also behind Paranui Bay a little bit earlier on. It just shows she's got a bit of class. The win at Wanganui, over 13.60 last time out was very, very good. So yeah, I'm happy to stick with Ari on top. I also like the look of Synchronise as well. I agree, that was a very, very good run in the Cambridge breeders. And I think the 1400 looks ideal for the daughter of Savabeel. And Jimmy Kirk, where you can't fault the lead-up form. Ding ding. Marshy will have him ready.
Yeah, going for 3 in a row. Likes the Rotorua surface.
There's a lot of ticks in the boxes with Jimmy Kirk.
Yeah, okay. Steve, you went with the Riche favourite here. What was your thought process here? I mean, a little interesting with the Marsh runners, how you lined them up, and then what do you do with Synchronise, I suppose?
Firstly, on Synchronise, I thought it was a pretty good run. She was first up there in the breeders, and she trialled well leading into it. The overall race up to the 600 metre mark was bang on even pass, so naturally you'd think it suited all runners. But as we know, Te Rapa, particularly going back and looking at all the races that day on Breeders' Day, you had to be in the first half does to be a winning shot. You look at We Will Rock, Bonnie Lass, they finished first and third, they were right on speed. Synchronise went back from a wide gate, was in the last third and running. As I said, they did go even tempo, so she was asked to sprint a long way from home, probably around about the 800 metre mark, and she loomed into it in about the 300 metre mark and then just peaked. I thought just being a strong tempo over 1200 metres, she peaked on her run being first up. 1400, better gate, should situate hopefully midfield, no worse.
Yep.
She is the big improver, but she still needs to improve slightly on Riche. On Riche, she was heavily punted, taking on 65 gallopers at Alpuni last start. She got a gun run. I probably wanted to see her put more of a margin in.
That's what I was going to ask you. I mean, half a length. I mean, I was probably expecting a little bit more, if anything.
Well, you did the top of the straight. You thought, how many lengths she's going to win by? Knowing the market support. She'd brought strong form from the semi-final leading into the breeders. But you kind of dissect it more. The overall race was bang on 65 grade, so no knock there. Always hard to do for a 3-year-old, no matter what time of the season, to beat the older horses at 65 grade. Winnie Rose, who finished 6th in the race, has come out and beat a sub-winner yesterday at Whanganui. And again, she maps perfectly here. I've still got around about a couple of lengths in front of any rivals on exposed form, Riche.
Okay, and how did you line the Marsh pair up just quickly? We got Mercurial in front of Jimmy Kirk, the market gravitating towards the course and distance specialist. Are we willing to call it a specialist yet?
I think you can, but I'm taking a set against Jimmy Kirk, $7.50 into $6 you see up there graphically. Both wins this time in at Aroa Park, yet to produce a decent figure, including its last start when it was 4.1 lengths below par for 65 grade. Out of the 4 1230 metre events on the 29th of April at Aroa Park, which included 2 maidens, it was the slowest, Jimmy Kirk.
Okay.
In terms of a marketplace, now this horse last started at Aroa Park when winning, opened at $4.50, got backed into as short as $4, eased all the way out to $8. So you can take a little bit of an assessment of how the market will treat Jimmy Kirk on Saturday. I think $6 is its bottom price. That's all depending on the liability, but if you want to back Jimmy Kirk, I'm opposing him purely at the price. I think he starts closer to double figures to where he's trading now, 6, purely on the figures he's produced up against some key rivals here.
Interesting. What do we do then, Paul, if we want to back Jimmy Kirk?
Well,
SP.
It's very hard, with Stephen as below par figures, fair dinkum. The horse doesn't know about below par, so don't worry about it, fair dinkum. Just, if you like Jimmy Kirk, jump on.
SP, though. If we take SP, don't we? starting fixed odds price?
Well, the
you think
trend
he
at the
could-
moment, well, he's come in, so
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
know. Is there any more money to come for Jimmy Kirk?
Well, Steve's telling us maybe
Well, we've seen
not.
that trend.
Yeah.
Big syndicate involved. They punted the horse early on Thursday and Friday, a couple of days before race day, and then it was soft on race day. So naturally, the traders are taking all this money and fair dinkum to them.
Yeah.
They brought it in.
Yeah.
That's fair play. But on race day, they're a little bit easy, and I think he drifts.
Okay, you expect to see a drift. BP, any other horses we need to mention here? Dancing Sands is an interesting runner, obviously, for another Mark Walker runner in the race. Basigny Lass, anything down the page here we need to be chucking into combinations?
Look, I think we've got this race fairly nailed in terms of what we've spoken about. I'm pretty happy around that synchronised Arish being put into the race from a barrier draw, which gives you a prime opportunity of winning this race, doesn't it? With where she's drawn and obviously with the form that she does bring from 2 starts ago, and getting the job done at least when winning last time to the races. So look, overall I went with synchronised. I just thought the horse could be a pair or two closer, which could be just the key to the race for her, with not having to concede lengths early and what was a very big field and a good race in the Cambridge Breeders. She can be a pair or two closer to them, and that might just give her that winning advantage here second up. So I thought she was a nice bet sitting around that $6, but huge respect around Mercurial and Arish in the race also.
Yeah, okay, nice. Pop's going with a little bit of value there, synchronised $6. Nice each way around that. Big improver second up. Paul, where did you land in the end?
I like the look of Arish from the 3 barrier and synchronised from the 5. I think they'll both be sitting fairly handy as they come around the turn. So I've taken a fixed Quinella, Arish and synchronised at $10.
Oh, I like it. Okay, synchronise Arish, $10 fixed Quinella. Okay. Anything that can spoil the party here, Steve? Down the page, just before we move on.
Look, Dancing Sands, good enough considering it was only her second race start when winning at Ottawa Park. Just needs to find maybe 1 or 2 lengths, but comes out of the right stable. If she can, I want to take a knock because it has the form line around Jimmy Kirk last start. So overall, I'll be taking a set against Jimmy Kirk. I've got Arish, the hardest to beat, but the market have identified that.
Yeah, okay. Boys keen on Synchronise and Arish in the 3-year-old Van Dyke Furnishings over the 1400. Boys race number 6 on the card. The Campbell Infrastructure Rotorua Cup, Group 3 over the 2200 metres here, Steve, and a dominant favourite and a deserving dominant favourite.
Yep, the conditions of the race, Cinerama probably the best in terms of that up and down the country, or where she's placed with the handicap, etc. $2 even money. That is her opening quote, and she's been well played. In front of leaderboard, so overall punters very keen at the point end of the market. Leaderboard clearly the second best bat runner. You could almost say really does match dollar for dollar v Cinerama thus far. $5.50 into $4.20, so a decent firm around the Mark Walker train galloper. Big Mike, something had to give, just out half a turn, $5.50 to $6. A Rising Storm, 10 out to 11. A Roger That, 13 out to 15. Hurricane, 18 out to 21. Super Sid, 18 out to 21. Best of the rest is Merida Lane, also a drifter at a $26 quote. So a number of horses have eased on the warm support, firstly on 2, holding its quote, but also number 7, $5.50 into $4.20.
Okay, before we go to Pops, is he going to try and talk us into Big Mike, Paul?
Oh, I hope he's got the T-shirts.
BP, Rotorua Cup, where are we going?
Yeah, they're at the factory. They're at the factory there, Paul. The Big Mike T-shirts. We may not have too many chances to wear them. Of course, retirement looms for Big Mike. Look, this is going to be a big ask for him, though, isn't it? Look, this is a race where he's compressed the weights, and it just means that Cinerama gets him beautifully, doesn't she? With a horse that is at 53.5 kilos. He has to carry 61. I mean, some of his good victories, I know he's carried 60 kilos in a benchmark race out of Tarapa, but the other times that he's been able to carry weight, they've been able to take weight off with Aaron Layton, Hazel Chauffeur, and of course most recently Alan Lickless claiming that weight relief to be able to help him out, where that's not the case for this race in the Rotorua Cup. So that just makes it a little bit tougher for him, doesn't it, in Big Mike? He'll give a sight. We know where he's going to be. We know what he's going to do. It's just down to Cinerama having the prospect of a very good run in the race with a light weight, and we know what she's done. Her record speaks for itself too, doesn't it, around Cinerama. Leaderboard, fair dinkum, the switch has just been flicked on here with leaderboard, hasn't it? And hearing from Sam Burgesson throughout the week that they've popped him over a few logs, and that's all seemed to have sparked him up. He was very good in the Hawke's Bay Cup when running into second position. When beaten by Swords Drawn, he was very good the week prior to that as well, when winning out of Trentham over the distance of 2,600 metres. So he has to be a very big danger in the race with the form that he's in currently. He's just found that piece of form that we've been probably looking for the last 2 years with leaderboard. So he becomes a really big danger. Then the field starts to fall away, doesn't it, after those 3 particular runners that we've mentioned in terms of their class and quality that they do bring to the race. So look, at this stage, I hate betting against Big Mike, but this could be one step too far maybe for him in terms of how the race sets up for him with the weight that he has to carry with Cinerama, just maybe having that chance of running him down late.
Yeah, I remember last year Pops had a big weight in a Rotorua Cup as well and dropped out, but I guess he's got a different track to contend with this year. I think it was heavier this time last year.
That's right, and he doesn't like it heavy. He really doesn't. I mean, he got through it through some of those races as a younger horse, but really once we start getting beyond sort of 7 or 8 in the pentrometer reading is where he doesn't really like it. So even though there's a heavy record there, when you look at it, that's purely with what he's done as a younger horse, and he dropped out in the race last year. So what is it, soft 6 I think at the moment. So that's bang on where that's in the sweet spot, at least in that 4, 5, 6 zone.
Yeah, okay. Paul, what are your initial thoughts here? I see leaderboard's trimmed up, a little bit of a point. Nice push early for leaderboard.
It is trimmed up, but I think the boys have got it right. Cinerama, she just gets in so well at the weights with Big Mike at the top there. So only 53.5 kilos for Cinerama.
Really? Yep.
She didn't give up in the Travis last start either. Recorded the fastest last 200 metre split as well. Only just missed in the Manawatu Breeders, probably because of an absolute sterling ride by Wiramu Pin on, I think it was Charm Star, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A lovely win in the Cuddle. Just all points towards Cinerama for me.
Yeah, well, what do you think about the $2 then in saying that? I'm happy.
It'll be in a number of multis on Saturday. It will indeed.
A number of your multis.
Indeed, yes.
Okay, I see. Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Interesting one, Steve. I mean, she does look awfully well placed, Cinerama, $2. Look, it looks about the right price in fairness, because that market's they're just chipping away, aren't they?
Yeah, I priced her at a 46% chance, so you're not getting too much of a GST at the $2 mark. When they're that short, and you look at Cinerama, because she does have the odd floor throughout her career, and you're kind of working out what's the negative around her heading into this race, and she's jumping a lot better. We've seen that last 4 to 5 starts where she's had a couple of wins at black type company, so I think that's a tick. I don't think that's a negative coming into the race. Her manners out of the machine. You could argue, is 2,200 a negative? I don't think so, but there will be plenty of people thinking it is.
Yeah,
and that's a fair call. It's a fair call because hasn't won at that trip yet. Saying that, pedigree, no knock.
Out of an Auckland Cup winner.
Auckland Cup winner. I look at the 2-2, and you look at back in her last run in the Travis over 2,000 metres at Te Rapa, and again, it was a race that was dominated by on speed. Even though they went above par to the 600 metre mark, won by 2 illicit, again, it favoured on speed runners purely on how the bias was playing at Te Rapa. She did run home the fastest last 200 metres of the race, just a tick over 12 seconds, suggests that 2,200 shouldn't be a drama.
Okay.
I'm looking again. The key around this race, she's drawn barrier 1. We're talking race 6, so we're going to have 5 races obviously played before this race. Let's just see how the track's playing. I think if you want to back Cinerama, just play the patient game. She's drawn the 8s. You know she's going to be back probably no forward the midfield. The only negative I could find around Cinerama, and it's not the distance, it's not her barrier manners, it's how the track's playing. She could be stuck along the rail, maybe worse in midfield, somewhere in that neutral position. We saw at the meeting a few weeks ago, they're coming down the centre of the track at the back end of the program. I know it's a soft 6, there's the odd shower forecasted on race day. I don't think it will come to much, but I think the back end of the program, they will be coming off the rail, and that's the only negative I can find around Cinerama BP. Is that a concern when you're diving into the even money?
Yep. I think it's a good point, Stephen. And with the luxury of looking at 5 races beforehand, I mean, yes, we are previewing the meeting the day beforehand, but as you said, if you wanted to have a true bet, well, you've got the chance to assess conditions, see if it's rained at all, the night before, look at the first 5 races, and if you feel it's pretty happy with where the inside is, that horses are holding the rail position, the horses are coming up the rail, or whatever's happening in terms of how the pattern is for the day, you can make that assessment after looking at a few races there. So, I mean, she is the class act, isn't she? She is a horse who brings the right form lines. Yep, there is that little red flag around the distance, but I think her breeding will really kick in there to be able to help her out. She should get a soft run in transit. What I will say about Big Mike too, he is a horse that is capable of running with those big weights too. You know, like he's been able to carry 60 kilos, 59 kilos, 60.5 kilos in some of those races that he's been able to win or go very close in. So the fact that he has to carry 61, I don't think is too much of an issue for him. It's just the case that he has to concede so much weight to his rivals. That's going to be the killer for him, isn't it? Is that, you know, when he has to concede weight to a horse like Cinerama, who's a great Group 1 place getter, even Roger That, who's won an Auckland Cup and run fourth in the most recent Auckland Cup as well, who's got 53.5 kilos, a St. Leger winner in leaderboard. So that's where it comes from, doesn't it? That you have to weigh that up with Big Mike, is that he's got 61, he can carry it, but just how much of an effect is it going to have in the last couple of 100 metres of this race when those lightweight horses are trying to run him down? Yeah,
okay. We've talked about leaderboard before, Steve, suggesting it's a little bit of a one pace. You know, probably wants to try and make a bit of a staying test from barrier 4, get out early and try and challenge Big Mike maybe, but his runs have been very good the last two, particularly the last one. I know it was a second.
He's a horse that loves genuine tempo. When he's been found out, and what a lot of our staying races can be, is sit and sprint affairs. Maybe not so much handicap, but definitely weight for age. But he's been running in handicap races. You go back to St. Leger, up to the 600 metre mark, it was 25 lengths above par. They've gone enormous up to the 600 metre mark. It really did set it up for leaderboard. He was probably the best 1 or 2 horses in the field, but he had the right race shape to suit. You go back last start, Hawke's Bay Cup, went out 16 lengths above par to the 600. And again, he showed his best leaderboard. So he needs genuine tempo. Look, Big Mike's going to make it at least even tempo. I thought the enigma in terms of the speed and the map is Peso, who's drawn barrier 12. Jasmine Fawcett does the riding here. I think they've probably got no option but to go forward. Peso, he's had a couple of jump outs and trials leading into the race. We've probably seen the best of him. He's at a $51 shot, so he's not guaranteed too much of a winning chance here. But just purely on the map, he's one horse that could put pressure on Big Mike, 1-2 in the map, and maybe in terms of race shape, go above tempo. But yeah, the leaderboard's generally a horse that bounces out of a hard, strong, fast run race, and you see the best of him purely because he's probably the best stayer in the race.
Okay. Paul, got anything down the page here, anything down your dance card? I'm peering over trying to see your cheat sheet here. Anything down the page that we need to be including here?
It's really, really hard to look outside of the top of the market.
You're big on Cinerama,
and leaderboard, but look, I thought because look, not the flashes of strike rates out of the Ralph Manning stable. Ashwin going to Sam, he jumps on. I just thought that Wellington Cup run probably took a wee bit more out of him than they probably hoped, and it's taken him a while to just get back. But I just think at Rotorua, maybe he gets a nice, easy sort of run, peels out as we come around the turn. Currently around $31. If I was looking elsewhere,
no, not suggesting.
I'm not actually looking elsewhere because I quite like the look of Cinerama. And as BP said, that's no slight on Big Mike either. No. But if I was going to have a little each way go somewhere else, Ralph Manning and B-Cause.
Yeah, okay. So you'd be all in here as Cinerama win, would you?
Yeah.
Basically, for your betting tactics.
SP? I don't know. Is it going that way or can't?
I can't see it drifting too much, just with the conditions of the race, the overall profile on the horse. It is a thin race if you want to shop outside the top 3, and a lot of people will take a set against Big Mike. As popular as he is with that weight, they will be taking a slight set against him. So again, you're looking at 2 horses. I just can't see Cinerama drifting too much from even money.
Yeah, okay. Paul's with the favourite. BP, where did you settle in this year's Rotorua Cup?
I'll give you a bet here in the race, and it's a way to be able to keep the faith with Big Mike. He's paying $2 to run a place. Now, there is a likelihood that he might even push out to that 220, 250 zone. Now, Cinerama's paying $2 to win the race. Here you've got 3 opportunities of trying to cash in on a horse that will be in front. And I reckon that $2 price could move and move outwards. I'd be happy to run that through a few multis, to be honest with you, at around that 220 mark, 250 if you got to that type of zone. So that's where I'll be looking. I think Cinerama is clearly the horse that we're all looking out for, and $2 tells you that, and the record she has. I think the other horse we need to be very wary of is maybe Rising Storm. The Soprano Supreme form, as we saw on Saturday, just gone out of the Gold Coast. It it certainly franks, doesn't it, with how that horse ran last week. This horse ran second behind Soprano Supreme at this venue, beaten 2.5 lengths, and there was a good margin back to the rest of them in that race. So it's a horse who narrowly won last time to the races out of Pukekohe. Gets in well at the weights at 53 kilos as a chance that could be one of those little lightweight upset chances, a must for trifectas and first falls. We're trying to look away from those top 3.
Yeah, okay. Nice Rising Storm. He couldn't get away from Big Mike in the end, Paul. Top 3, Big Mike, that's his bet.
Rightly so.
No, you can't blame him.
Very happy with
that. You can't blame him. Rightio, one more race we want to check out at Rotorua before we push down the line to HAWERA. Race number 8, Steve, the Bridges Rotorua Stakes. Group 3 for the fillies and mares over the 1400 metres. Competitive market, competitive market.
Yeah, fantastic field. Punters playing 4 or 5 different horses early doors, including MAITAI, $4.80 from a short of $4.50. Jodlin Gal, $5 out of turn to $5.50. Oscilleta also out a turn, $6.50 to $7. Francesca, well played, $7.50, resumes here for Andrew Forsman and Maddie Cameron. One of the better played in the first 24-36 hours, number 5, Francesca. Secret of More, also well played, including a $500 bet at the $9 price, yet to budge since the opening call. La Bella Beals, Sticky Gate, $8.50 out to $9. Double figures around Fontaine, $11. Illumination, $12. Marchioness needs a scratching or 2 at $13. She's the same price as Synchronise, but I think Synchronise will be running earlier in the program. Again, a horse that needs a couple of scratchings. Couple of interesting runners here. Number 13, Shepherd's Delight, 3-year-old filly at $18, and Sassy Merlot hasn't been friendless, again at a nice each way quote of 18. So there's 4 or 5, as I mentioned earlier, Thaddeus, that they've played, but probably if I'm taking a lead early doors, it sits with number 5, Francesca, and also that big single bet around number 2 and Secret of More.
Gee, Pops, if we've been a little bit stifled for choice in the first couple of races, we've got a fair few to potentially have a bet on here in the stakes.
Wow, I mean, where do you go? Where do you start? I mean, you've got a lot of different form lines to work with here. You've got horses that have chances that have got bad barrier draws. You've got fresh up runners that have shown talent. This is a very good field. And let's be honest, this is a race that delivers year on year, the ROTORUA Stakes for the fillies and mares. It is normally a very good race, and once again that is the case here. I mean, you first of all work off some runners that bounced out of that Cambridge Breeders, and you look towards horses, and I thought very good runs from La Bella Beals, for instance, who finished into 4th position behind Bonnie Lass. Look, she's drawn out in the car park, but she's a horse that is in form with what she's been able to do. Of course, she was beaten here 2 starts ago in a race, as we pointed out a few weeks ago. She went up to win that race and somehow didn't when Stars and Cream fought her off, but then she backed it up with her run in the Cambridge Breeders, but she's got a completely different barrier draw to what she had last time. I was actually really taken by Shepherd's Delight, the 3-year-old filly, with how she ran last time. Now, she has to take on some of the older horses here, but she's run well in both of her starts, I thought, and behind Cote de Boone, and also her run in the Breeders. She's Group 1 placed, as we know, over 1,600 metres. And then the big enigma in the race is Sassy Merlot. What does Sassy Merlot do? Because if she does find a way of getting away with them, like we have seen all season, apart from her last 2 starts, and still be able to find her way back into the race and run the sectionals that she has in both of those races is quite remarkable. Boy, if she can get away with them, she could be the absolute knockout blow in the race, Sassy Merlot. So, look, it really is a race where find the one you like, and if you found a reason to like it, and you just go with it because you'll get a price.
Yes, no doubt about that. For some reason, I think of when I see markets like this, I think of you, Paul. Help us out in the Rotorua Stakes.
As BP said, it's like MAITAI, the favourite, is drawn out in the car park. So,
yes,
how do we sort of factor that in? I'm sure we'll find out soon from Steve. But
a few of those favoured runners are drawn poorly, aren't they? Even
again,
more
you can
intriguing.
assess how the day's playing though. This is what race second to last, race 7 or 8, race 8, I think. So, again, you can just take a line on how the track's playing, and those wide draws might not be that bad on what they are on first look.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Paul,
that'll be where everyone's looking to go later on in the day.
Well, possibly. Who knows? But I mean,
Yeah.
at the moment, they look quite ugly on paper, the wide draws. But we'll just see if that pans out on the day.
Okay. So you had
I do
MAITAI
like
in the mix.
MAITAI though.
Yeah.
I do like MAITAI.
Yeah.
Back to the 7 furlongs. Really like that. She only just went down in the cuddle after a nice trial. Just been by the top weight in the Rich Hill. she's been in behind some very, very
she'd almost
classy
deserve
type
a race like this, wouldn't
exactly.
she, Maita?
You know, she's run into the likes of Imperatriz and Coventina Bay, so can certainly understand the support behind her. And what was she, 480 the last time I looked? The same thing with Oscilleta, drawn way out in the way out.
Yeah, about 20, isn't it? Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm still trending towards MAITAI.
Yeah, okay. $4.80, it is the favourite. She would deserve a race like this. Gee, Steve, awfully tricky little race to frame up here.
Yeah, it is. Look, I was leaning towards possibly number 3 as a bet, Jodalyn Gal, currently trading at $5.50. She came of age last preparation, Jodalyn Gal, including winning an open class on Boxing Day at Ellerslie, then 5th in the Westbury when it started the 5-1 fave. So she's got talent. She's well related. She's had a freshen up after the Westbury. She goes into this race having one trial over 1,100 metres against group horses, and group horses that are genuine sprinters. She got back. If you watch that trial, I love her last piece of work, probably the last 100, 150, and through the line. It was very much an eye catcher. She finished well back in the trial, but again, 1,100 is not her sweet spot, and she was up against some genuine group sprinters in that trial. So I loved her. She definitely ticks the box in terms of the trial. You might look on paper, she finished well back in the trial. It was a really good trial. If you got time to have a look at the vision, I'm sure Trackside might bring it up on race day.
She got smacked at Ellerslie too. I'm just looking at the starting price there at Ellerslie on the 22nd of Jan.
Yeah, it was one of those horses I think the BGP leapt onto, and Karaka Million Night, and she was deserved to be favourite in a Westbury. It was a Group 2, fillies and mares, and her win at Ellerslie, as I mentioned on Boxing Day, produced a really good figure to suggest she's up to group class. And again, we talk about these weight for age fillies and mares races. It is dominated in terms of the marketplace on horses that have the higher ratings, and she's got a rating of 85, so she's the 3rd highest rated in the field. I just think she's cherry ripe first up. She's got Ottawa Park form, which is crucial, as we've already touched on throughout the show. And from barrier 7, she's got an okay gate compared to a few rivals in the marketplace that we've already mentioned have drawn wideish gates. So I think from barrier 7, there's genuine tempo of the race. She can just sit in that neutral position with a little bit of cover. She can have the last crack of them, Jodalyn Gal. She's got that turn of foot. And at $5.50, I wouldn't be surprised if she really tested MAITAI in terms of starting 1-1 in the betting. Okay,
and Secret of More, Steve, before we go back to Pops, good win, resuming, strong win.
Yeah, look, I can't knock the figures. Whanganui produced that. Again, new stable, so Robbie Patterson has this horse now. It used to be with Tiaka, and it showed ability with Tiaka. Went down to Christchurch and had a couple of wins from memory. So it was hard to assess where she was at first up. There was a little bit of cash for her, but just, again, back on figures, I can't knock her on that. I just like a few others in front of her purely because I'm just not sure where she gets in the map from that draw. Yeah, okay. Okay, BP, we surmise this Rotorua Stakes for us not going to be easy. Where did you sort of settle in this one?
Yeah, I'm like Stephen. I mean, Stephen's right. If you go back and have a look at that trial, I mean, I love looking at horses that go through the line late, and also even more so when they are picking up runners as they're pulling up. Look, she was very good in that trial. So I think everything speaks about her with how she's can go in any type of track condition too. She's won on good. She's been able to win on heavy as well. I mean, she raced at this race meeting 12 months ago, and the very last race when beaten by Dawn Parade, and then she was able to run well on those heavy tracks. So she can go on the heavy surface, she can go on track conditions that are good as well, and really this has been the making of her in her summer preparation. So she's got all the right ticks around here, so I like her chances also. I think Shepherd's Delight might be that sneaky in the race, and there's going to be a lot of sneakies, isn't there? I mean, there's going to be a lot of chances of playing an each-way specky, chucking a horse into a quaddie because they're at $15 odd, and you found a reason why to sort of play one. And Shepherd's Delight's that sort of horse that I'm happy to be on at a big price for a 3-year-old filly, but late in the season to tackle some of these older horses, these older mares, just like how she's run recently, and things look nice. Things look good for her over 1,400 metres, and the opportunity of trying to find a pair or two closer for her is the key. And as I said at the top, Sassy Merlot is important for the race, and if she gets away, well then, far out, $18 could look like a price also. But yeah, my first selection in the race is Jodalyn Gal. We will have that trial for you. We'll show you on the Punters Lounge and on the day, as Stephen said, when finishing 7th of 9 behind Swords Drawn.
Yeah, okay. Shepherd's Delight will get back, Pops. We'll get sort of state. There we go. Yeah, that makes sense. Shepherd's Delight's going to get a fair way back, isn't it? That's your only probably problem there.
Yeah, it is. It is, and it's just about trying to find a spot of being a pair or two closer, as I said. So if the horse can do that, look, it's a must for maybe a top 4 bet.
Yeah.
Again, this race screams having a multiple or finding a horse that you like on the each way, or even dabbling on the top 4 market. You probably find $3.50, $4 for some horses to finish in the first 4. So that might be a way of exploring the race also.
Yeah, okay. I've run out of Sassy Merlot money, Paul.
So have I.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Well,
It's my fault, is it?
yeah, it is your fault.
Yeah,
and I
one too
do
many
blame you.
times.
Yeah. Okay.
This will be the time to get on there.
That's what I was about to say. This will be it, because I certainly won't. I can't do it to myself again.
No.
Just, running
She's
out of here.
flying. She's absolutely flying. Her
Yep.
closing sectionals have been unbelievable, but
Yeah.
doing her chips at the start.
Yeah.
A couple of horses I do want to quickly mention. Francesca, because she's been well played, Thaddeus.
Yep.
She resumes here. She bled last start, so she had to have that downstand or period of, 3 or so months, I think it is. I want to take a slight set against her. I know there's early money for it, around about $7.50. I priced her double figures. I'm not sure where she sits in the market on race day, but my assessment, look, she's got ability. She's lightly raced. As I mentioned, she comes into this race first up after bleeding last start, which I think is a little bit of a negative, even though a lot of people do say a horse
runs its best race.
absolutely coming off a bleed. But at the end of the day, she's only won at 74 grade, and she's up against horses that are group class and proven. So no knock that she's got ability, but she's yet to prove it. I think she starts double figures, and she does in my assessment, number 5, Francesca.
Yep.
Also led her last start, went out favourite at Avondale, off track, race shape was totally against. They ran 36 flat last 600 on a heavy deck, which converts to 7 lengths above par, and she made her run in the IG, in the inferior ground. So I think her run, even though she was a beaten favourite, held merit. She just can be a low percentage play. Again, another horse that's drawn back, which she was always going to be in the last third, but she'll need tempo to suit.
Yeah, okay. Paul, where did you settle in the end?
I like MAITAI on top, but there's one further down the page I thought I'd have a little stab at.
Yes.
The Richard Collett trained Sweet Clementine. She'll be better for that
40 to
fresh up.
1.
She'll be better for the fresh up run. She's won on the track before. She was 6th in this race last year after sort of getting held up slightly just before the turn.
Okay.
And what?
Needs heavy?
Yeah.
Because
Look,
as we said, this meeting last year was a
heavy,
genuine
wasn't it?
heavy track. That's
Yeah,
my only
yeah.
concern with her. That's why
Yep.
you're getting a price.
Yeah.
so what? This is race 8. So the track will be cut up by then. So it may be playing a wee bit worse than what it was at the start of the day. I'll give her a
I
chance.
just see there's a little nibble for it too, down at 40 to 1, just funnily enough.
Top 4, $7.
Okay. Sweet Clementine. Just to throw you that late curveball, thank you, Paul Mawadi. Guys, we want to go down the line as we start to run out of time on the leg up, as we always do, and it's HAWERA race number 2. We could have picked a couple of open handicaps here, Steve, but we've gone with the 3-year-old race with some real up-and-comers by the looks.
Yeah, I went with this race to touch on in terms of a headline act at HAWERA. Some nice, auspicious 3-year-olds heading forward, I do believe, Thaddeus. And look, the Stoney one resumes here at 320. So we've got 320 each of 2, the Stoney one and Pisco Sour. They both opened originally at $3, so they've gone out a couple of turns to 320. The best bet runner, probably not just in this race, but up and down the card at HAWERA, sits with number 6, Show Us More. Alan Sharrock, $5.50 into $4.50. A ton of money in the first 36 hours. In front of Gucci Belt at $8. Queen of Spades, $8.50 off a shortener of 7.5. Double figures around Lingen Hero at 12. And best of the rest is Fraglione at $21 off a shortener of 16. So Show Us More, clearly the best back runner. That's showing with the firm, $5.50 into 4.5.
Okay, nice race pops. The new Plymouth Auto Electrical 2 and 3-year-old over the 1200. That Alan Sharrock money, my ears prick up when I hear that in the building.
Yeah, it's dangerous money, isn't it? It really is dangerous money, and I think it has to be respected too. Good draw. Things look all in its favour there to be a big chance. I was really taken by Pisco Sour with how the horse won a maiden race, and we might get an opportunity of seeing how some of those horses that were beaten behind Pisco Sour line up today. Obviously Hero Worship, for instance, out of Matamata, but look, was building nicely towards that and really did put them away and needed to as well in that race, and she proved that she might be a horse that can continue on that upward plane. I do like Gucci Belt as well, a horse who was able to beat home Show Us More when those two horses clashed last time to the races back on the 12th of March out of Trentham. And then the Stoney one, of course. The Stoney one returns off the back of a recent defeat in the Karaka 3-year-old Classic. A horse who's had a trial to get himself ready by winning out of the Foxton trial by around a margin of a length. He is a deserved equal favourite, really, and look, he's the one that's got a lot of upside to him also. So it's about going with horses that had some up and running form, the likes of Show Us More and the Gucci Belts, Pisco Sour, or do you go with a horse that has got some good talent, and that being the Stoney one, who's only been to the races 5 times but recently competed in a $1 million race?
Do you know too much about the jockey of Show Us More, BP? Kevin Boharan?
Actually, no. There's a couple of new jockeys there that we need to find out about down there tomorrow. So hopefully, I think Bevan's on tomorrow. Hopefully he can do the job there for us.
No doubt he's got his finger on the pulse. Paul, what are you thinking about there in the 2 and 3-year-old?
Pisco Sour.
You're bringing the CD form, yeah?
Oh, big time. She looked super winning last time with a leg in the air. I can't go by that. I can't go past it. I'm sure Steve will tell me it was 3 lengths below par, but I don't care. I love the run. I thought she was
quite the opposite, but carry on.
Yeah, a good one.
Are you going to tell us?
Yeah.
Well, just going on, its last start maiden when it was 3.5 lengths above par, which, if you're assessing it against the Stoney one and other rivals, it's 1 length superior. So it's not a huge amount. I didn't have a strong opinion in this race, but what I will say is that, as I mentioned before, there's some real progressive, auspicious types in this race, which I think will go on with the job and definitely run in higher grades than what we see here. So, but yeah, just purely on Pisco Sour, definitely no knock. 3.5 lengths above par when winning at Matamata last start. Okay, so you like Pisco Sour. You usually you would see that Alan Sherrick money, and we couldn't get you off Show Us More.
No, that is the concern in the race.
Yeah.
The fact that the early money has come for the Alan Sherrick runner here, and I can understand why. He beat some very good types last year. I think he finished in front of Lavilli, who came out and won twice since, and also was it Ivy Dazzler?
Yep.
I think came out in front there as well, and Ivy Dazzler's come out and won a couple as well. So the form is franked, the money's on. Yeah, that's the concern for me now. But I'm sticking with Pisco, so I just loved her run.
Yeah, okay. Any room for Queen of Spades in that mix? That resuming second, not too bad.
Yeah, it's very, very nice second.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite forward first up, so how much improvement I'm not too sure, because the money was on first up, and it ran a good race. I heard out of the stable that possibly they want a genuine heavy track. It's when you might see the best of Queen of Spades. It's currently a soft 6. The odd shower forecasted. I don't think it might not present to that heavy bracket, but definitely a horse that you can follow throughout the winter when we do get that aqua.
Okay. BP, surmise the race. Could you settle on a winning hope there?
Oh, look, I had it down to 3. I was Pisco Sour, the Stoney one, and Show Us More. I really found it difficult to try and break it down between those 3 runners. But look, we made Pisco Sour our maiden of the week when winning last time to the races. It was impressive when doing the job there, so let's stick with that one.
Yeah, very good point. Maiden of the week as well. So to add some cherry on the top there, Pisco Sour.
It wouldn't be the first maiden of the week that go on and collect a few dollars for the boys, so here's another tick.
Yeah, okay. So it's all Pisco Sour.
Just with the Show Us More, it was beaten favourite at Trentham down the chute, which can trick up the odd horse, particularly young horse. I look back at that race replay, she just went a little bit keen, and the jockey had a firm grip, and she just wanted to run down the chute. I thought she held on to her task quite well, considering, again, she was well beaten. Well, not well beaten, but she was beaten favourite.
Yeah.
Does she get to the lead here? Look, she will go forward. That's her profile from what I've seen, but there is go forward horses from the 1, the 4 and the 5, so just depends how much pressure is up front to where she sits in the map. But almost a forgive at Trentham, considering how she ran. She was very fierce up front. Okay, well, I can assure you that the Taranaki money has been shipped in around Show Us More in that race number 2 at HAWERA, which is a very good card all round and a good couple of open handicaps to boot to have a bet into as well. Right, guys, a bonus back blitz promo. Paul, anything happening there this weekend, or have we finally put an end to it?
No, we're going back to the 4 meetings this Saturday and the first 4 races from Rotorua, Eagle Farm, Flemington and Morfettville. So, bonus back promotion on the first 4 races from Rotorua,
Yep.
Eagle Farm, Flemington and Morfettville.
Okay, beautiful. No excuses there. Viewer, listener, question time. Thank you for sending your questions in to tlufeedback@gmail.com. Please keep them coming. We've gone to Gary Muller this week. And this is an interesting one. I don't know. This will test your history knowledge. Can you let me know, were the first 3 home in the 1992 anniversary handicap? Were they all from the South Island? Any chance of showing the race? Love your program. Oh, I see why you chose that one. Very, very good. Good finish, Gary. You will have a $100 bonus bet in your account. Any news on the anniversary? I think I know who won it. But
Okay, who won it?
It was a horse called Medina, I believe. Medina, trained down the south.
Jockey?
D. Walsh?
Yeah, good call.
D. Walsh,
Good call.
D. Walsh,
Now, I didn't know this answer.
No.
This is I'm not going to take credit for this, but I did send I did send a text through to Tim Aldridge next door at NZTR and quickly asked him if he knew the answer to the top 3 in the 92 anniversary. Medina first, obviously. Just Tommy second. And Seamus third. So he is correct, Gary.
Yep.
Top 3 were South Island trained gallopers. So just going back on it, Medina first, Just Tommy second, Seamus third. 1992 anniversary.
Yeah, okay.
We need to get the video now, don't we?
Yeah.
Pull it
Yep.
up to complete
That's your
the
job.
question okay.
Get the boys up north to...
Surely we can get it next week.
Yeah, well, we'll see what we can do. See if we can dive into the archives to find that. I mean, I can find 92's Castletown's Wellington
Yes,
Cup. That shouldn't be a
yes.
problem, so surely we can find the anniversary.
Same carnival.
Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah, Medina, okay. Jim Melton, trained down south, good trainer.
Okay.
Yeah, she won 9 races, Medina. And they often have a bit of success in the anniversary and the Southern Raiders, so South Island trifecta. Good luck. Well done, Gary. Thanks for your question. Please send them in, guys. tlufeedback@gmail.com. Gary's going to have a $100 bonus bet to spend on anything he likes this weekend, Gary. And if you feel like letting us know which way you've gone, which rein you've pulled, we'd be happy to know and let
So we
everyone
can follow
know.
along.
Exactly. We need a winner, don't we?
Well, boy, do we ever.
Okay. Righto, boys. Now, look, we'll go to best bets very shortly. One quick question. ROTORUA. Everyone talks about horses for courses, and we've got about 30 seconds here, but how much do you factor in this ROTORUA horses for courses? All I'm hearing all week is ROTORUA. I know it's a thing, but how much?
It's
do you have
a
to factor
delicate
in?
one, Thaddeus, because
Yeah.
we talk about it in our meetings, and you sit in our meetings when
do.
we're dissecting race by race, horse by horse. And look, I think individually between the prices, we do add it to our probability,
Yeah.
but you don't want to overplay it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
But it's definitely one of the courses in the country where you do get an extra tick in the column if you've won on that track.
Paul, from a man in the streets perspective, and when you're having a bet at ROTORUA, you obviously look at that stuff.
Factors, it gets
Yeah,
factored in,
yeah.
100%.
Because Calpurnia's going around again as well. Are we going to BP? Well, what do you make of the ROTORUA horses for courses for thing?
Yeah, no, I think it's. I believe in it. It's Sulphur
Yeah.
City, and it's. I think it's got a lot to do with it. I know I've spoken to some trainers beforehand. That horses just thrive when they get there, and there's a lot of different elements to it, but. Yeah, I think it has to be respected. Calpurnia has won 4 races there from 5 attempts.
Yeah.
Has a big task on the weekend because it does take on Horde the Bourbon in that race, in race number 5. But Alan Nicholas aboard again. Right, we better get to best bets, shall we?
Yeah, well done, Pops. Thank you. You're absolutely right. We should, and we can start with you. Because I've got no time as usual, so run us through your best bet of the weekend.
Yeah, I found it a tricky one this weekend, but I've gone to HAWERA and I've gone with a horse that ran second to Big Mike, and that was last time to the races in Pep Talk. Now, he's a horse that just strikes that right possible race on the weekend with small on numbers. Yes, you've got Al Hail Mary in the race, who was the class act at the top of the book, but he doesn't look too far away from winning again. I thought the way that he tested Big Mike, and you get a chance to line up Big Mike in the ROTORUA Cup at 2:32, because this race is at 1 minute to 4. I thought Pep Talk was almost a nice little each way with where he sits in that market, so I'll make him the bet of the day.
Like it, good run last time. Price, Steve, a Pep Talk, do you know?
$5. Just look at the market.
Yeah.
There's 5 horses with separated of $1 between them. So
Okay, so a nice each way around Pep Talk. Paul, where did you land for your bet of the week?
I'm going to HAWERA and the New Plymouth Auto Electrical 2 and 3 year old.
Oh, you can't get away from this, can you?
Pisco Sour. Look at her go. Wow-wee.
Yeah.
That's good enough for me. And look, I understand the money on the Alan Sherrick runner, and
Yeah.
that does
Yeah.
sort of send a few
Save
shivers.
with a little quinella maybe. potentially.
Possibly, yes, but I'm all over Pisco Sour, please.
Okay, very good, very good. Your Paul's best bet, Pisco Sour. Trying to go back to back after that impressive win at Matamata last time. Steve, where did you land for your bet of the week?
I'm going today, Matamata. Halfway through the program, race 6, a rating 65 1400, Casino Princess. This is her last start win. It was very
yes.
impressive at Tauranga over 1400 metres. It rated very highly, 4.4 lengths above par. That's in the top 4 or 5 in terms of maiden victories this season, Casino Princess. I know I was on a heavy deck, but my database covers that. Yeah, I think she's top draw, Casino Princess. She's heading through the grades quite rapidly, Casino Princess. Look, she's not going to replace Gold Watch. No one will. But in terms of race ability, she's heading in the right direction, Casino Princess, today at Matamata.
Yeah, okay, Cliffy Goss, wouldn't it? Yeah. That was great to see that horse come out and do that at Tauranga, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's got another good one.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, guys, that is it for another week, I think. Well, we better wind it up. Paul, what are your plans this weekend?
I'll be watching ROTORUA and HAWERA, and good luck to all the connection who've got runners over the ditch this weekend.
Yeah, we haven't even had a chance to talk about that on Trevier. Drawn the barrier, outside barrier again.
She'll be there. She'll be there or thereabouts. I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, good luck to BP and all those Warrior supporters. Hopefully it's a magic weekend.
Hey, look, Tohu Harris is back. That'll be a big help. Bit of length.
It's a huge up, and Cam Murray out for the Bunnies. That's two big pluses for the Warriors.
Yeah. Any Kiwis you can have a bet on in Brisbane on Saturday, BP?
Look, Duck Destroyer will love the track conditions over there. I mean, they've just been waiting for rain. He lines up in the rough habit. His last run was very good, wasn't it? Obviously, you got Pinarello in the race too, and Ruark. Look, on Trivier, with the barrier draw and the track conditions, they shouldn't put you off. Big long straight at Eagle Farm as opposed to Doomben with a wide barrier draw shouldn't be an issue. Opie gets into a 3 or 4 wide trail. Her first up run is normally her best run. She could be the one that was dive bombing them late on off-track conditions. So you might get a price about her. So I do like her. And I like Josh Adokar to score a try. He's had 18 games at Suncorp for 18 tries. He plays in the first game of Magic Round.
None of them with the Bulldogs, though.
No, yeah, 2.
Oh, true.
No, very good. We better let you go, Pops, because racing starts in about 5 minutes, doesn't it?
It certainly does, yes. We'll go and get ready for that, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, thanks, BP. Thanks, gents. Thanks, Steve. What are you up to for the weekend? You going to be on track side?
Working, yeah. I've got my son Leo's birthday on Sunday, so...
Very good.
Happy birthday, Leo.
Sure, he's an avid viewer, isn't he?
Yeah,
he loves
the show.
the Lego.
Yeah, forget Minions and Paw Patrol.
Okay, thanks, Steve. We'll see you again in a week's time. Paul, thanks for your efforts as always. You'll be back next week. Going to try and do 2 in a row?
What is it? Yeah, I'll be back next week.
Okay, they'll be back next week. Please, you come and join us next week as well, and we'll see you in 7 days' time on the Leg Up.